Moria. There is one dwarf yet in Moria who still draws breath.
Chapter 5, and they call it a mine. A mine.
A mine.
This is spoiler.
Anybody else want to go? Josh, give it a shot.
It was mine.
What was that?
That was like,
Monster Mash.
yeah, I was gonna say it was like a goth version.
What's in the mine?
It's in the
This isn't a mine, it's a graveyard smash.
Oh my god. All right. Well, as I said in the intro, this is chapter 5 of our very, very special Lord of the Rings episode. It's been a blast to do.
We would never rush these.
What?
We would never rush these episodes.
No, never, ever. No, we've taken our time for sure. So I don't know. Yeah, let's at least introduce the crew. Tell me your favorite Andy Serkis movie. I don't know. Let's go from west to east.
Okay, I think I'm the most west.
yeah.
I'm Corey, recording out of Simi Valley, California, also known as Kylo Ren memes. Or
You weren't
Corey
even
the
supposed to
Intern.
be here today.
I was not supposed to be here today, clerk style. We were gonna originally record this on the release day of Rise of Skywalker, but we changed that around, so I'm here. Glad to be here. Thank you guys very much. What was your question? Andy Serkis movie?
Yeah.
Last Jedi.
Ooh, nice. It's a, yeah. So I guess
That's
that'd be
your
Pat next.
favorite one? Yeah, this is Pappy.
Oh no, wait,
recording
take it
from...
back. Force Awakens. Fuck.
Well, I was going to say Force Awakens, recording from Louisville, Colorado. Yeah, he's actually been one of the most predominant spoiler men in history. I'll pull up Brett. He was also on the punishment episode that Stevie did for The Prestige.
Oh
So
yeah,
he's
I
been-
forgot about that.
Been showing his face quite a bit. And there might be another punishment episode coming after tonight.
Maybe.
So who would be next?
I'll go ahead and go. This is Josh from Goshen. Favorite Andy Serkis movie is Fellowship of the Ring, the one that we are on part 5 of 6 today.
Sweet.
Mikey recording from Goshen. If it's not Fellowship, I really like those Planet of the Apes movies. He's really good in those. Those are really good movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard they're good. Stevie?
Yeah, this is Stevie, Indiana. Favorite Andy Serkis movie is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes by far. That movie is so good.
Is that the first one?
Second one.
Nice. This is Brett. I'm your host. I live in Fort Wayne. Since I'm the host, I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to say the Fellowship of the Ring and the Prestige. So
Don't limit
that's
yourself
cool.
to 2 answers, Brett.
All the Lord of the Rings, and then
Brett, give us your top 10 Andy Serkis.
Ooh, I don't know. King Kong.
Black Panther?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's great. He was awesome in that.
You know you're
Great
not allowed
movie.
to hate that movie, right?
I know. Hasn't been long enough?
No.
No,
All right, let's
still like a
move on.
10-year wait period.
Wakanda forever. Let's go. Let's get going. I got stuff to do. All right. So as we were talking, I believe we left off. So they got to the door, and Gandalf tries to flex with all this writing on the door, and he's all like, "Oh, I'm super smart," and then thinks it's gonna open, and then he just gets flabbergasted that he can't figure it out. And this is more a bigger thing in the books, but like Frodo learned a lot of riddles from Bilbo, so he recognizes it as a riddle, and he says, "What's the Elvish word for friend?" And then Josh, he says,
Balrog. No. Melod.
Speak friend and enter. What's the Elvish word for friend?
Melon.
Something like that. They say
Melon.
They say it
Yeah.
Melon.
they say it really funny in a South Park episode too. It really cracks me up. But I didn't play D&D in high school when these movies came out, and I've played it since. And I feel like this whole part at the door is like classic fodder for a D&D fan, because it's just a door, but like someone has to roll something above a 10 to get through the door. So they're kind of stuck here for a while. It's pretty great.
Yeah, roll investigation for sure.
Gimli is suspiciously absent too during this whole time. It's like his cousin's house. He should know the password to the door. Like, dude, what's the garage door code? It's your house.
He hasn't been there in a while, obviously. But I guess the meat straight off the bone wasn't that good, or else he would have been back. But so while they're trying to get in the door, a little side story's happening. I think it's Merry and Pippin are throwing rocks, one of them, and Aragorn just grabs his hand and he says something like, "Don't disturb the water," because the water's bubbling. So they go inside and they start crunching on the ground, and it just turns out they're like in a graveyard of bones. So everyone runs outside, and then what, Mikey, what happens to Frodo?
Frodo gets grabbed by a Cthulhu-like creature, like a giant kraken or something, in the scummy pond, and he's about to get eaten, and Aragorn and Boromir are hacking away at all of his different arms to kind of drop him from his grip.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They finally get, this is kind of like, they get Frodo and they run into the mine, and then the little Kraken Hydra mix knocks all the rocks down. So it's like, it's Gandalf's worst fear, because he realizes he has to go through the mine. And we don't really know why yet, but he's pretty scared. So,
Don't you think that's great, Brett? Like, Gandalf is afraid.
Yes.
So just intrinsically as a reader or viewer, you are just like utterly terrified.
You're like, what could he possibly be scared of? Yeah, it's awesome. I love that, because they're like in a blizzard on a mountain. The mountain's trying to kill him. I guess in the movie it's Saruman's trying to kill him, but he chooses that over the mountain, the mine, just because he's so scared.
Does Gandalf realize that Shadow and Flame are like down there? Like, does he know about what happened to the dwarves, or not? No, sure?
I think I don't know about all of that. I don't think so, but he definitely knows that what kind of creeps below down there, because it's just way side lore, but the Balrogs all took Sauron's side, and then when Sauron lost, they all, like, the ones that survived all went under the earth, and they kind of started creeping back up because they were less scared when Sauron was getting powerful, and I think he just knew that. He knew that there was one down there, and he didn't want to be anywhere near it.
So who would win, like the Balrog or one of those witch kings on the lizard eagle?
Well, what's the midichlorian count, Josh?
Right, yeah.
Well, there's only one Witch King, but I would choose a Balrog, I would say.
But doesn't the Witch King kick Gandalf's ass in the Return of the King extended edition?
In the movie, and that's what I read. Actually, someone said that Peter Jackson really, really undersold Gandalf, especially Gandalf the White. That would not have happened at all.
That's the way I felt too. I felt like Gandalf would have just fucking handled him.
He would. I mean, he's literally probably the second most powerful being on the Middle Earth at that time.
Behind
After
Frodo?
Tom Bombadil?
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
Bombadillo?
I guess I meant people, like, involved in the war. They have Tom Bombadil's like a different animal.
Tom Bombadil
Is that
sucks.
the guitar player for Rage Against the Machine?
That's funny. All right, so that I think I answered that question, but yeah, I don't know. He wanted, like, my dad always complained about when he watched these movies that Aragorn's always getting thrown to the ground and stuff, and he's like virtually untouchable in the books, and it just drives him nuts. But it's got to be some drama in it. So I understand. That's probably why they did that with Gandalf. The Witch King looks super menacing. He's really awesome. His design is awesome. So yeah. I get it. I think this is the first time coming up that we have our first extended scene in this. The Mithril is not in the regular movie. What did everyone watch today?
Extended.
Okay.
Extended.
Yeah, so I know, Corey, you haven't seen the regular one in a long time, right?
No, it's been a while.
So that mithril scene where he's talking, they look down in the mine and all that mithril's there, that's not in the regular cut, so...
This made me think that Pappy wished that had stayed in the theatrical version because it sets up like a really good plant and payoff, and I know you'd love those, Pap.
I was thinking about that. You know, I think it's enough to get Bilbo showing the mithril earlier. You're talking about like how it saves him,
and
right,
he talks
Josh?
about it too, so yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, but no, I think it's helpful to hear it again, and plus it just looks like the look on Aragorn and Gimli's face and everything as they're looking down in the mithril, like even they're kind of looking like, ooh, I can see why someone would want to throw it all away for this. It's kind of like Uncut Gems when Adam Sandler looks at that opal.
They risked it all.
Yeah.
We get another good line though that's like straight out of the book, and they do this a lot in the movies. But when Gandalf says something to the effect of Bilbo's mithril shirt was worth more than the Shire, like that's straight out of the book.
Yeah.
I love Frodo's wry little smile here. He's not telling anybody that he's wearing like a mithril pajama suit underneath his t-shirt.
He's like, holy crap, I'm rich as fuck.
Also, where's Frodo? Where did he go?
He went to Mexico, sold his mithril.
On Pawn Stars. I can only give you 5 pints for it.
I'm trying to run a business here, kid.
So then we get to definitely the regular scene. I love the confusion. We joked about it earlier, but Gandalf's like, I have no memory of this place. I don't know.
Like, is Moria that massive in the books?
Yeah.
So it'd be like easy for him to get lost.
Like plus they dug. And that's one of the things that I think Gandalf mentioned earlier. One of the reasons why he was so scared, Pappy, is they got super greedy, especially with their rings of power and stuff, and they just dug and dug and dug deeper and deeper and deeper. That's why it was so massive, and he was super afraid that they were going to wake who you find out to be Durin's Bane.
As we enter in the mine here, we have all of the Fellowship intact, and I just feel like Pappy said Chapter 3, They Come in Pints, which was hosted by Mikey, was like his favorite section of the movie, and I think these mines are probably peak LOTR for me. I feel like
it's my favorite setting in the whole. I love it.
The way it's so deep and mysterious, and we do have the whole Fellowship in tow, and there's humor, and there's really serious stuff. It's so epic, and
it's literally the last time the Fellowship's all together.
Yeah. I just feel like I'm going to have to stop myself from saying how awesome it is all through this.
No, keep going. I mean...
Well, not to jump too far ahead either, but like I had read The Hobbit, and then I saw this when it came out, and I had no idea that Gandalf dies. And when he dies and you don't realize that Ian McKellen's back, I mean, I don't know if any of you guys had the opportunity to see it like that or if you knew that he comes back, but like that's a fucking crazy death to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's
Brittany
a huge...
just mentioned that tonight. She was like, the first time she watched it, she didn't know anything about it and got super devastated. And I didn't have that because when I first started reading, I was a kid and I read the third book. I started reading the third book, and it starts with a conversation between Gandalf and like Mary. And then when I read the first book, I was like, wait, Gandalf's not dead. So I didn't really have the payoff, luckily. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, they're super vulnerable without him.
Yeah, he's been bailing them out left and right for a while.
It's like when Charlie Sheen dies in Young Guns and somebody yells out, "He's our foreman."
Yeah, just like that.
And the Balrog like a giant repeater gun.
It's a new Mexican standoff.
Maybe Gandalf like could have gotten up when he had like the fire rope around his ankles, and he's like, "No, I'm sick of carrying all you lazy bastards. Time to go."
Let's not hop ahead too far.
Okay. I was gonna comment on that, but we'll back.
We'll get to that.
Bring it back, Corey.
Just some quick hitters here. Frodo sees Gollum, and Gandalf's like, "Oh yeah, he's been following us for 3 days." And there's a whole speech about, he hates and loves the ring just like he hates and loves himself, and the whole pity. Bilbo took pity on him, and that ends up obviously being a huge factor 7 years later or whenever it is.
It's a pity Bilbo didn't kill him when he had the chance.
Pity? It was pity that stayed Bilbo's hand. Many that live deserve death.
some that die deserve life. Can you give it to them, Frodo? Do not be too eager to deal out death and judgment. Even the very wise cannot see all ends. My heart tells me that Gollum has some part to play yet, for good or ill, before this is over. The pity of Bilbo may rule the fate of men.
Is there a reason they're keeping him alive? Like, why doesn't Legolas just put 2 arrows through his head?
Did you not hear everything Gandalf said?
Yeah.
His whole speech is like...
Just put him down. Just put him down.
All about pity.
Old Yellerim, seriously. Case closed.
He's not living a good life. He's miserable.
No.
Just put him down.
Hey, but they needed him at the end. They needed him so badly. He got them into the mine, into Mount Doom, and then Frodo was gonna like peace out, and inadvertently, oh, I guess who's jumping ahead now? Everyone dies at the end, guys. It's bad. Okay, so this is like the first time you see that Frodo starts to feel like the emotional burden of the ring. He's like a long way away from feeling the physical and the mental burden of it, but you know, he has that line, "I wish the ring had never come to me," and I'm just like, every time I'm like, yeah, no duh, dude. But you know, he starts to crack just a little bit. It doesn't really affect him like it's affected some other people in the past, but anybody have any thoughts on that before we move on?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Well, is there like a theme of like destiny? Is it like foretold that Frodo is going to be the one to do this, or is it just bad luck on his part? Because I don't know how Gandalf is like giving him motivation of like to keep going. Gandalf is just like, you're the guy.
Yeah, he's like, and he makes it seem like it was fate. I mean, Gandalf does make it seem like that. He's just like, you know, Bilbo was meant to find that, and it was meant to give it to you, and so I don't know. I mean, Galadriel can see.
I think it works better than like most hero's journey setups, because like rather than having like a higher midichlorian count or like, you know, being the one who was born like Harry Potter, it's just kind of chance that it ends up being this hobbit and it works out for the best. You know what I mean? I like that it's not like why is Neo the one? You know what I mean? Stevie, like in this, it's just kind of like we know why it ends up with Frodo. It's just
everyone kind of shrugs their shoulders at Frodo and they just go, sorry.
Yeah.
Sucks to be you. Chance that Harry Potter got it.
Like so pure of heart too. It's like, well, we really lucked out with this guy. He's not a selfish jerk.
Yeah.
Just keep carrying the ring.
Yeah, thank God he's not 3 feet taller.
Yeah. He'd do some damage. So then Gandalf all of a sudden disremembers, and he disremembers, and I don't know if it's kind of a moment of levity.
Is that way?
He's remembered.
No, but the air doesn't smell so foul down here.
And then we get to the first part of actual tension. Gimli just kind of goes, no! And he... no! And then he runs over and he discovers a tomb. So this is always one. Gives me goosebumps every time is when Gandalf starts grabbing the book. He starts reading the book and he's talking about the drums. And at the very end, he's like, we are trapped. And he's like, they are coming. And that gives me goosebumps every time.
I think I have a Stevie question in here.
What's
because they're reading like Balin's inscription, right? And it's epic and it's awesome. It's dramatic. And like even his writing at the end like kind of scribbles off. But he's also like buried right there. So how did this work with them building a tomb, burying him? Orcs have taken this place over seemingly since that happened, right?
I don't ask myself questions like this, Josh. I just appreciate the aesthetic of it all.
He hired a ghostwriter.
Well, yeah.
He's like the Drake of dwarves.
Oof.
I knew you thought it would come through, Stevie.
I think that's what happened, Josh. I think they'd mentioned that he had died earlier and he's in that tomb. And then the other people held off as long as they could. And they got to the point where they're trapped. They might even have carried him out in there and put him in the... But either way, a common theme of this movie series is Pippin. He screws up. And he touches something he shouldn't touch. Again, that's another theme. And this big old heavy iron thing falls, and some bone man falls down and makes a lot of noise. It's actually pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Like he keeps like wincing every time it hits something.
I know this is more of a big dumb movie thing, but Pippin gets the little dipshit award, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
he is fucked up.
He finds his bravery.
So many great memes from that moment too, like ones where it's like me going to the kitchen during the day and it's like just a normal kitchen scene, and then me going to the kitchen at night, or like when someone's asleep and it's like the thing falling down the chute.
I love how Gandalf was so pissed off at him. He's like, throw yourself down that freaking well next time, you idiot.
He's like that throughout. I mean, he's like that in The Hobbit, definitely. He's got a big kind of a mouth.
Is that one of his biggest character differences when he comes back as the White?
He's
more.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a little. He's more like a personified spirit when he comes back as the White.
Yeah, he's a lot more tender with Pippin when he comes back in ROTK.
Yeah, so I would say that's a good insight, Josh. I would say that's true. Gandalf just gets terrified. Again, nobody really knows why, and everyone's. Nothing comes, and they actually have like a visible sigh from Boromir. He's like, but then all of a sudden you hear like squeals.
No, there's that drum.
Yeah. Corey, you're not going to need to do sound effects. I'm doing all of them myself. So this is one of the coolest places where this big battle happens. It's a really cool battle. Josh, I feel like you'd do an impression. Somebody do an impression of Boromir when he shuts the door, what he says to Aragorn.
We have a cave troll.
We have a cave troll.
They have a cave troll, yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Oh,
he messed it up.
He could say we, but I always thought he said they.
He's got so much sass when he does it, too.
Like, yeah, he's so like, funny. Oh, yeah, like this couldn't get any worse. That's like kind of what he's talking about. And this great little battle. I mean, I have a feeling Pappy might find it a little corny. There's some corny parts, but I think it kind of makes it fun.
I would say the only thing that didn't work for me in 2020, or yeah, I guess 2020 now, is the jumping. Like, I think, like when Legolas jumps, Stevie, you pointed out to me earlier that it looks kind of bad. And there's one point where Merry and Pippin jump onto the cave troll, and
yeah,
I think that bit of CGI hasn't aged well. But as far as the action set piece itself, I think it still looks awesome.
It's incredible.
Yeah. I think you're dead on though. Like if you even look at ROTK, anytime they jump on like the Olifant and stuff like that, the jumping always looks bad. And I still think nowadays, even in 2020, jumping always looks harder, or like swinging and flying and stuff.
Unless it's freaking Andy Serkis doing it.
True. That's like that's like a different animal. But
my take on this whole scene is that it's got to be one of the most fun action sequences ever committed to film. From like Boromir barely dodging those first arrows to
they're hopping around, yeah,
to the end. Like how much happens during it. The cave troll is one of my biggest memories of seeing this movie as a kid.
Mm-hmm. And it also, it's like it shows how like strong Legolas is. I love like when I know it gets corny when he jumps on him, but I love when he traps the chain. Just to show how strong he is. That's really cool, in my opinion.
I don't think it's corny at all. I think it's awesome.
I don't mean corny. I meant it looks bad.
I don't even think it looks bad. I mean, just watching it again today, I was just watching it on an iPad, and it's like, wow, how did they like future-proof this to not look like shit? It's almost 20 years later.
But that's how it was when I watched Jurassic Park recently. I was like, man, this stuff still holds up. It's really cool looking.
Yeah, and then Legolas is like on top of the troll and like shotguns him in the head with his bow. It's pretty awesome.
So then there's some kind of Aragorn saves Frodo, and then you have like a massive O-face from Frodo. I actually told Brittany, I said, a joke we've been making on these pods is about Frodo's O-face, and she said, yeah. And then when they show him again, she goes, oh, she tipped her head back and started laughing. She goes, that's all I can see now. I mean, it's like a long one. I mean, it's like 15 seconds.
He's relieving some tension.
Oh, yeah. It's magnified by the power of the ring. So, I always felt bad for the cave troll when he gets shot in the throat.
What?
I mean, first, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. He's a slave, and he's just made that way. But it's a
Weird
sad.
flex, man. Weird flex.
Not flexing.
You don't think the cave troll has free will? You think it was solely a pet?
I'm just saying he's bred that way.
Oh my god. It's come around full circle. Brett is the most PC one of us all.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, so yeah, this is when you get the big reveal of the mithril, even though we already knew about it, but nobody else did. He's like, oh, that would have skewered a wild boar.
Yeah.
You should be dead. Let's be able to skewer a wild boar.
I guess it does make sense why they would cut the mithril in the theatrical cut then.
Because we already knew about it. We knew about it. Yeah.
Because we knew about it, but it's been a while since they mentioned the mithril, since they're at with Elrond and Bilbo. So I guess it would make sense to not to bring attention back to it, since it's such a big reveal when you think he might have died.
Yeah.
Do you really need a Frodo fake death here for the scene to be great, though?
I don't think so.
Oh, so a Chewie fake death in Rise of the Skywalker is great, but a Frodo fake death in Lord of the Rings isn't. I see. Okay.
Well, it is Frodo's second fake death, so.
Pappy, don't compare that series with a good one like this.
To Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay. Apologies.
They're like, oh yeah, we're out of the woods, and then 100,000 more orcs come, and
Brett,
you kind of see this flame in the back. Go ahead, Josh.
I think, sorry to interrupt, as much as I've been gushing about it, this is my one note. All those orcs that come, I just wish there wasn't so many. It makes it so there kind of has to be some Deus Machina sort of thing after it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of over the top, I guess.
Yeah, I agree, but I think they wanted to show how scary. Again, I think it goes to what you were saying earlier about this is 10,000 orcs that are scared of something there. What could they possibly be scared of? What could Gandalf possibly be scared of? I mean, I'm with you. It's not super necessary. They could have shown Balrog anyway, but I think that maybe was what they were going for. But also, they wanted to mess around with the CGI, so.
It looks cool.
So,
what kind of economy was producing enough food underground to house this many legions of orcs?
I was just wondering that. Are those orcs agents of Sauron? Are those official orcs on his business, or are they?
I don't think so. I mean, I think they're just.
I never thought so, but.
I mean, they ain't had nothing to eat but moldy, stinking bread for 3 whole days.
That's a different movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know, Pat. I think I'm with Corey here. I don't think it is. I think they're just random. I think there's orcs everywhere.
No, they go into it more in the books, but there's different sects of orcs, and these ones I think are not under Sauron's orders. So yeah,
I'm sure they would join him in a heartbeat, though, if it came down to it.
These guys aren't from the tree crack that we saw where the roots.
I don't think these orcs are top. I don't think these guys are top brass. I think these are much lower.
They think they're scavengers,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely not Uruk-hai, Mikey. If that's what you were talking about, no, they're definitely not. I almost said Dumbledore. Gandalf said head for the bridge of Khazad-dûm, and then the orcs flee, and then this is another scene that always kind of gets me goosebumpy is when Gandalf says this foe is beyond any of you, and then he goes run. And I love that. It always gets me. This is never my favorite part. It looks cool, and it gives a little tension. But when they're kind of trying to get across the stairs, I always think of Aladdin. But there's one really cool shot where you can't really see the orcs yet, but all of a sudden you see this arrow come out of nowhere, and it bounces right in front of them. I thought that was a really cool shot. But Pap, do you want to quickly describe this staircase scene, or?
No, we can do. I mean, really quick, I would say this is the first tossing of the dwarf line.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right?
Not the
So, I mean,
beard,
that's,
not the beard.
that's pretty significant. But yeah, that and it always looks really cool with the overhead shots of them kind of running down the stairway. And I remember being a kid too, that shot that you talked about, Brett, where it tracks Legolas's arrow into the orc's like forehead. That's one of my favorite shots of the whole movie.
It's awesome, and that like it wiggles a little bit. Yeah, that's really cool. And then he's just straight picking them off. They get to the bridge and they're crossing it, and this might sound like hyperbole, but to me, I think this is the most magnificent scene of like any movie ever. The scene with the Balrog. To me, it's like perfection, and it still looks really cool. If somebody wants to take that.
No pressure. Brett just made it sound.
It's my favorite scene of all time. Describe it.
I'm not saying it's my favorite. I'm just saying I think it's like absolutely magnificent.
It's crazy cinematic, Brett. With Gandalf standing kind of at the center of the bridge of Khazad-dûm, the Balrog, just massive in size and scale. And the way they show like the shadow and flame working in the scene is incredible as well. Gandalf uses his sword, right? Like sword and staff?
Sword and staff and ring. He says it during his speech. It's really hard to catch, but he says like the wielder of, I don't remember what the ring's called.
Yeah, so they're going back and forth, and like when I saw this in theaters as a kid, I had like no idea like of the books. I mean, this movie was a complete surprise to me, so I didn't read anything.
And you're like, oh crap, Gandalf's gonna get destroyed, right?
Well, yeah, and when he does the "You shall not pass" and like breaks the bridge down, and the Balrog like goes down with it, I was like had this huge sigh of relief, like much of the other part of the Fellowship, and that fire whip comes and grabs him by the ankles.
You cannot pass!
Gandalf!
I am certain this good fire, wielder of the flame of Arnor. The dark fire will not avail you, flame of Udun! Go back to the shadow. Shall not pass! Fools.
So cool. And when he can't pull himself up, or at least he doesn't want to because he's sick of carrying the other side of the Fellowship. So you'd rather die than keep hanging out with you clowns. You're not doing a thing.
Yeah, he lets himself fall, right?
Yeah, but first with the fly, you fools.
He has to go level up off screen, gain more power.
I'm gonna go bleach my robe.
But the part that always stuck out to me, like with this scene outside of Gandalf like dying, only to be reborn, is Elijah Wood's blood-curdling scream. That like hit me so hard in the theater.
Dude, does anybody think it would have been cooler if the fight scene would have gone longer, or you think this is just perfect the way it is? Because it could have looked really cool if it would have gone longer, but I think the emotional quickness of it coming and going is perfect.
I was thinking about that. Brett, I love when they show them fight in the next movie. It's so awesome.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
But it still probably doesn't compare to what the human mind could maybe vaguely conceive is happening as they fall. Like, it's not disappointing that they show what it looks like as they fight and fall in space and time or whatever, but do you know what I mean? Like, to try to show that and describe it Did Tolkien do it very well? Like, what did Tolkien even write about that scene?
He doesn't write that much, I don't believe. In like the movie just shows the very beginning of it and then the very end. Corey, you could correct me. Is it they battle for 3 days, or is it 10
something
days?
like that? Yeah,
it's like a long time they battle like nonstop.
It's more of Gandalf recanting it, just like in the other movie. But Tolkien was never really big on battle scenes in these books, in the Lord of the Rings books in general. Like he kind of glossed over the battles. As where the movies is, spends a lot of time on them.
I think it's just like a testament to Ian McKellen, Sir Ian McKellen, as an actor too. Like all of our perceived power that Gandalf has is basically just coming from his gravitas as he screams. You know what I mean? Like we see him, I'm not trying to rob you, or you shall not pass. Like there is one, like I guess wizard's duel, but most of like the credit we give Gandalf is just Ian McKellen, the way he delivers the lines, or so it sounds like he knows what he's saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just like in Cats.
Perfect.
Yeah, whether he's Gandalf the Grey or Gus the Theater Cat, he brings it every time.
But he chooses his words so carefully, yet his final words that he thinks he'll ever see his friends again, he calls them fools. He's kind of a jerk.
He's doing it so they could get away. I mean, he's sacrificing. He's like, imagine if he sacrificed and then they just all caught arrows from orcs. They'd be like, oh, well,
was the line "Fly, you fools" in the book?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
And I also used to always think that like that whip snapping and grabbing his ankle was like just some happy accident for the Balrog. But watching it today, I was like, no, that Balrog's pretty badass. I'm pretty sure he just did that.
They're from the same angelic race as Gandalf and Sauron. They're like, I believe they're also Maya. So, they're all demigods as well.
In the Silmarillion.
I remember there being like a lot of internet buzz around that line, like a long time ago, like "Fly, you fools," like what it actually means. I remember people saying like, "Oh, he was telling them to go like take the eagles directly to Mordor," and all this stuff. But it's not that.
No,
he's just saying run.
He's just saying get the heck out of here. All right, man. Sorry, we got a lot. We got to move on. We got a lot. Is this the first time you see a little bit of Aragorn's like super mission sensitive? Like he's not very sensitive to the pain of people. Is that like the first time? I think there's a hidden meaning behind it, or is he just like being really practical? Like, we have got to go. I know you're sad, but we have got to go.
I think he was trying to keep everything together like Gandalf was doing. I think he like had to step in immediately, not let things go awry, because he saw like how much of a black cloud this was over the group.
Don't let him dwell on it. Just keep the mission going.
And Boromir's the one who wants them to like stop. Boromir's the one who's been like, let the hobbits rest for a second. And he's like,
even Legolas, like he has a little bit of defiance, I think, in his face when he's like, Legolas, get them up. So, I mean, I could be wrong, but
for pity's sake.
I think it's fair to say that this could be a mistake in Aragorn's leadership. Like, he's not fully the king yet, maybe here. So I like that. And we touched on earlier a couple episodes ago when he introduces himself to the hobbits, he's not very like friendly then. He's like, no, you should be scared. I'm Aragorn. You should be scared.
What's your name?
They bounce. They finally get to Lothlórien.
I have the eyes of a hawk and the ears of a fox. Oh.
The dwarf breathed so loud we could have shot him in the dark.
And then, like, he walks right into an arrow, and I thought that's really funny.
He breathes so loud we could shoot him in the dark, is what they say.
The dwarf breathes so loud, yeah.
A lot of barbs being thrown.
So this is, I haven't seen the extended in a long time, and this was like, holy crap, I forgot about all this. So this is a big time difference.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the woods of Lothlórien, they meet Haldir and the other elves, and I guess Haldir kind of like reluctantly takes him to Galadriel. At first, he doesn't seem like he wants to do it because Gimli's just kind of being shitty, and dwarves and elves have a rocky relationship, as is previously established.
Well, he also says you have a great evil with you, so it's the ring.
Oh yeah, the ring too. Yeah, for sure. I mean, but they do take him to Galadriel, and she kind of like talks to him, but speaks to some of them telepathically while talking to the group as a whole. You can kind of see like Boromir like nervously sweating, and Frodo's kind of panicking.
It's dirty. Like no, he's not nervously sweating. He's like just died inside. Like that was pretty harsh what she did to him.
What is it that she did exactly to him?
I think she shows like him a vision of. He mentions it later, but it's a thing about his dad and how his rule is failing and how the city's gonna fall. He just pretty much touches on, like we talked about it in previous episodes, like Boromir's the most mentally weak because he's had the most to deal with.
I got a question. Why is she doing that? Is her intention to...
She's a troll, Mikey.
I don't think it's for good or for bad. She's just like one of those people that's like, I'm going to tell you what... I don't care if it makes how it makes her feel. I'm going to tell you, I say it like it is. So
no,
I think that's what she's doing.
Stevie's onto something. She knows Boromir hates trolls from the previous scene. So, just trolling him.
The cave troll did nothing wrong.
This is my least favorite part of the whole movie. I'll be honest. I think it's like the most boringest part. And I don't really, it's just another like what really comes of it? Like she gets offered the ring, she turns it down, and then there's nothing like really advancing the story here. Maybe I'm wrong.
To be like a breather from like all the big crazy shit that just happened in like Moria and even before that, like, okay, time to take a breath, and then we'll pick up the pieces for the last act kind of thing. But you're right.
Yeah.
They're also safe for the first time in like an hour.
Yeah, this is a save point in the game. They just had 40 minutes of running away from a Balrog and fighting against orcs.
Mikey,
now is a checkpoint.
They're like going to the store. They get some power-ups. They get some lamb bread and some clothes.
This is like that scene where you start collecting a bunch of ammo and weapons because you know you're about to like meet hell in the next level. This is what that scene is.
It's like, oh shit, there's a save point here. It's about to get really hard.
It's about to get terrible.
Pappy and I talked about this a few weeks ago. He told me he doesn't like the Galadriel part, which I actually love, and I think you'd have to know a little bit about the lore of the ring and what it does to people to like appreciate it. But I like it, and it might not advance the plot that much.
It serves Frodo's character pretty well, I think.
Yeah, especially the mirror is important too.
Yeah, the only reason to even show these scenes is for Frodo, because otherwise it serves no other purpose.
The bad people wanted the ring for themselves. The good people, like Gandalf, he's like, don't offer me that. Elrond wanted nothing to do with it. It's kind of just, they all know. And then, like, she takes it the furthest. Mm-hmm. She foresees what she thinks will happen if she gets the ring. And it's hard to say Tolkien's ever really clear on anything, but he wrote a letter. I think it's letter 243 or 246. It talks about what she thought she saw in the ring. She saw herself beating Sauron, being a beautiful queen. Everyone loves her, but the point of that is the ring makes you think that.
Mm-hmm. Was that in the New Testament or the Old Testament?
It's the unwritten testament of the Gospel of Tolkien. You should read it. It's really good. Go to your local library. But she realizes that the ring makes her think that, and so that's her big test. She looks like evil Kate Hudson. If you go back and look, looks exactly like Kate Hudson to me. Always has.
I do like that line though, where she like says she passed the test, and she kind of has that Gandalf encountering the ring moment. It's pretty cool.
She's meager. Like it said, she's noticeably more meek looking after that. So again, doesn't last because she's
more humble. Put her in her place a little bit.
For sure.
She's like, woof, thank God, passed my test. Good luck with that soul-stealing ring, Frodo. Have fun with the next two movies.
And she does kind of say that.
Have fun losing your mind.
Yeah, you're a ring bearer now. Anyway, so that's about where I end. She does show the Shire burning, and she's like, oh, no pressure, by the way, Frodo, but if you fail, this is what happens. No pressure. And that's about it. Oh, well, then there's a little bit of Saruman. They're like, eat some man flesh. And then that's about it. They get some the lambus bread and cloaks.
food stuff.
Saruman. So, sorry I went a little over, but again, I think there's like the meatiest part of the movie. So
we're here for it, Brett.
Right off the bone.
I gave you that meat. All right, it's all you, Josh.
You ready for trivia then?
Yes.
I have great trivia tonight that I'm super proud of. Do you guys want to do the slightly longer one this episode or wait till episode chapter 6?
Save it for the end, the longer one.
Okay. Because we will name a Lord of the Rings next episode, so get psyched for that. Corey, you're Gollum. You're in last with 1. Brett, you're in second to last with 3. Mikey.
Wait, which character is he?
Not a character.
Oh, you're born.
Mikey, you're in third with 3.
What?
Pappy.
What?
Pappy, you're in second with 3.
What the heck, man?
Yeah.
And Stevie, commanding lead with 6.
Aragorn.
So next, the bigger trivia that we'll do and save for next one. A lot of points will be flying around, but this one just has 2 questions. We're going to have 2 closest twos. Stevie, you will go first, and I want you to tell me what date J.R.R. Tolkien published The Hobbit.
Ugh.
Like you're talking about closest to year, month, day, right? That's what you're getting at. Okay.
Let's see if I count 60s. May 3rd, 1946.
Okay. Pappy.
I'll say December 17th, 1945.
Hey.
Mikey.
I like that.
I'll say August 10th, 1950.
Brett in second to last.
I'll say March 26, 1952.
And Corey. Gollum.
I'm going to guess October 14th, 1942.
You all overshot it. It's 1940 or 1937.
Wow.
September 21st, 1937. So it looks like Stevie, 1941, or did you say 6?
No, Pappy has it. He said 45.
No, Corey has it.
I
He
said
said
42.
1942.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Corey, you get 3 points.
So
And
the
you
Gollum
4.
gets the big advantage, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
Right, we have a second question coming up. So just wait a second. Brett, you did get -1 point. Speaking of you, so you're down to 2. You might be the Gollum. No.
Oh, sweet! I get the big advantage then.
Brett.
Shia!
Peppy, you're up to 5. Stevie, you're still in the lead with 7. So the second
All right.
question is, instead of doing like the month-year thing, I'll just go number of years. How many years after that was Return of the King released? Years and months. So Corey, you are first on this one.
That would be 12 years, 3 months.
Brett?
Oh no. 10 years, 1 month.
Okay. Mikey?
I'll say 5 years.
Pat?
I'll say 15 years.
And Steve.
I'll say 16 years.
That's a good guess.
Stevie, it was 18 years and 1 month. You get another
Woohoo!
3 points. You are at 10. Pappy, you get another 2 points. You're at 7. You guys are killing it. Then it goes to Corey with 1 point. You're at 5. It seems like you're pretty safe to not be Gollum now. So, Brett, you got 0. You're still at 2. Mikey, -1. So you are also at 2. It's a Gollum tie right now.
But does Stevie get his
Yes.
-1? Oh,
the ring bear
Jesus.
absolutely gets his -1. Stevie?
Oh, do I get to hand out a -1?
You get to hand. Yeah.
Oh, Bubba. All right, who's in second to last?
Brett and Mikey are both in last with 2. And then Corey's after that with 5.
Oh, and I can only hand out a -1?
1 -1.
All right, I want to see it get interesting. I want to hand it to Corey.
What's that? What'd you say?
Give the -1 to Corey.
I think you just broke up.
Rivalry.
All right, I'll pass it back to you, Brett.
I guess, should we kick it to Spoiler Man? Or does he come in at the end?
Take it away.
Take it away, Spoiler Man.
Please support this podcast.
Very non-plus ending.
I wasn't expecting it. Sorry.
Spoiler Man. Do something, Spoiler Man.
Bye, Spoiler Man.
All right, Spoiler Man, thank you for that. That was awesome and informative as always. This is the wrapping up episode 5 of this special
Oh shit! I stopped.
Six a little G. So we will see you next time.
Lord of the Rings, of the Rings, of the Rings.
The B1 Lord of the Rings.